So I saw this news and I had to react to it. Jake Paul inks a multi-year deal with the PFL. He's going to be fighting twice in 2023, once for Showtime Boxing and once for PFL. His opponent has not yet been announced. I don't want to talk so much about Jake Paul's reasoning behind this. I think it makes sense for him. He's talked a lot in the lead up to his fights about fighting guys in MMA. He talked about it with Anderson Silva. He talked about it with Tyron Woodley. And he's called out Nate Diaz a lot over Twitter. So it makes sense for him. And if he wants to keep branching out into the world of combat sports, I personally don't see anything wrong with it. You guys can call me what you want. You can call me a charlatan or a guy that promotes all these celebrities trying to get into the fight world. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to try. I more so want to talk about the PFL's decision making behind this, which I think is a lot more interesting, strictly because we don't know who Jake Paul's opponent is going to be yet. So there's no real reason to obfuscate on why he would do what he's doing or you know what it would look like if he actually ended up fighting. We'll save that for down the road when he announces his opponent. I want to talk though again about PFL's decision-making process and how I think this puts them firmly at the top of the mix with the best MMA promotions in the world. So you think about the best mixed martial arts organizations that not only the US but the world has to offer. So I'm thinking like One Championship, you know, of course PFL, UFC, and then Bellator. Those are the four that are that sit atop of the haystack. And for me, speaking just about a PFL in particular, they always put out an entertaining and fun product. I actually went and I watched one of the events at MSG. It was the playoffs where Sergio Pettis fought Stevie Ray. I always thought the fights were entertaining. They were fun, but PFL kind of lacked that identity that the UFC, that ONE FC, and that Bellator have. Now, in the world of combat sports, and any promoter will tell you this, to have a good organization, it needs to have some sort of, and this, you could also say this about mass comm too, with every successful mass comm personality, you need to have some sort of a, kind of like an angle to the product that you're putting out there. So for instance, ONE FC likes to do these super fights where they have 1 round Muay Thai, 1 round MMA, maybe 1 round, I don't know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or grappling, right? And so they can stage these gigantic fights with talents from all over Asia and all over the world, and they're the largest conglomerate. And so that's kind of their thing, is it's almost like a more complete sport, or more so of a true martial arts organization. Then, of course, the UFC has really compelling storylines, some of the greatest talent that the world has to offer. It has that brand identity, that recognition. It's a true American MMA league. And of course, Bellator is known for having some really, really interesting and young surging talent. And then, of course, also taking some of the legends of the sport that have resigned from the UFC and from their really professional careers to go and be able to be competitive with other guys at that skill or age level. And so now what PFL has been able to do is they have that next notch in their belt. And if you don't know what I mean, not only did they sign Jake Paul, but they've also opened up a new sector of the PFL called the Super Fight League. I believe that's what it is. Maybe it's a division, but regardless, whatever it is, that is what's going to be their pay-per-view model. Now, I don't know who Jake Paul would be fighting in this Super League. I'd imagine it's not just going to be obviously Jake Paul fighting guys. They're probably going to sign more elite level talent, maybe pull a Bellator and sign guys that come off of the UFC roster, big names, get them in there, the likes of Nate Diaz and all this different type of stuff. But this now gives them, at the very least, if not a distinct identity in kind of crossing over with celebrity and influencer combat sports. It gives them that draw factor, right? It gives them a base, a better base to work with than the one they currently have. And that's why it's just such a smart move by the guys that run PFL. Now, how is Jake going to look in the octagon or the circle or whatever type of cage they try to use? That remains to be seen. I don't know if he's going to be the same level at MMA as he is at boxing. You know, there's a little bit more, obviously, to MMA to take into account. Jake's not going to be able to open up his hands as much because he's going to have to be worried about the takedown. He's going to have to drill jiu-jitsu, his kicks. So there's a lot more to this, but I do enjoy the fact that Jake is willing to test himself even more, take it to the next level. Maybe he even rematches Silva in his sport. Who knows? Either way, just a good deal on both sides. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
No one knows what it's like to be me, be me. No P, just living life as a teen. Go downstairs switching on the TV. Got a tin of beans, got rips in jeans, that's me.